Diamond Girls is a stage play about four young women who choose to date guys in the street life. And it tells the story of the things that they go through as a result of the guys that they choose to deal with. It shows the tragedy, the drama, and the craziness that comes into their life as a result of the affiliation that they have with these guys. How it affects their lives, how it affects their freedom, how it affects their children's lives. It's a story that I think a lot of women can relate to, even though it's a great life in terms of the money and the clothes and the trappings of it. It's a tragic lifestyle in the way that it ends up for not only the guys that's in the lifestyle, but anybody that's connected to them that's connected to that lifestyle. My motivation for doing Diamond Girls, first of all, came from my own personal story, which is I lost my mother. She was 23 years old. She was involved with guys in the street life, and as a result of who she was involved with, it ended up costing her her life. And she left behind a 6-year-old son, which is myself, and a 3-year-old daughter, which is my little sister. And so that gave me a really personal and passionate feeling about getting this project done. Then on top of that, you know, girls I grew up with in my old neighborhood, and girls I've known and met over the years, down through the years, and hearing their stories and things that they've told that they've gone through as a result of guys that they were dating in the street life. I mean, all kinds of crazy stories. I started to realize that there was a pattern in their stories, and I started to realize that it was a story that hadn't been told, and it was a story that needed to be told because it affects so many people's lives, not just the wives and the girlfriends and the baby mamas, but the children as well. What happens to them? What happens to them when, you know, he goes to prison? What happens to them even when he gets killed? What happens to the children when mama gets killed or goes to prison? And so I really wanted to tell the story, and I wanted to tell it in a realistic way. And so that's my motivation for doing this project. I want people to see themselves when they see the show. Diamond Girls is a multifaceted brand. It's a stage play. That's where we're starting at. We're starting with a stage play, but it's also going to be a soundtrack, a full-length CD soundtrack, as well as a full-length documentary. In the documentary, we're actually interviewing women, real live women who have been through these very experiences, telling their story in their words, telling their stories of physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, telling their stories of being cheated on, telling their stories of, you know, how they dealt with their lives being threatened, their children's lives being threatened, telling their stories of almost going to prison, in some cases actually going to prison because of the guys that they were dealing with and what they were into. So it's going to be a full package. It's going to be a lot of information that people can get and relate to, either from the play, from the soundtrack, or from the documentary. Diamond Girls eventually is going to become a full-length feature film. I've actually had some people approach me about doing it as a movie, but I want to do it as a stage play first, just to get the name and the brand out there, get people familiar with it. I see it's touring, eventually touring all over the country, because it's not just a Detroit thing. I think people all over the country need to hear this message. Eventually I want to do a Diamond Girls nonprofit, where we actually help girls in the inner city and women who need to learn that it's not about the guy that you're with or the money that he has, but it's about mining for the diamond that's inside of them. So I think that Diamond Girls is going to be a great thing. It's going to touch a lot of people, and we don't want to preach to people, but what I'm trying to do is counteract some of what we see in the media. What we see in the media is that, you know, the street life is fun, it's sexy, it's money, cars and clothes and women and all of this kind of stuff, when in reality, it's really a lot of drama, it's a lot of tragedy, it's a lot of lost youth, it's a lot of lost freedom, lost lives, stolen dreams. It's a tragic and horrible way to live. And I want to portray that and then let people decide for themselves what they want to do. But hopefully they'll look on stage and say, you know what, I went through that. Or wow, that's the same thing that happened to my cousin, or that's the same thing that happened to my brother. Or even if they're in that lifestyle now, they can look on the stage and say, you know what, I need to make better decisions and make changes in my life. I went to great lengths to make this project authentic, make it authentic from a street sense, make it authentic from a character sense, make it authentic from a storyline sense, so that people can really relate to it. And so Diamond Girls, I think, is going to be an awesome project, and I'm excited about it.
A guy didn't have money for drugs, and he told him, you can keep my car if you give me the drugs. And he gave us the keys, or gave him the keys, and he got the drugs and he left. But a couple of days later, the wife was questioning where the car was. So she made a police report. So the car was reported stolen. So we're driving and we get pulled over. The police come behind us. And he told me, put your seatbelt on. Because he had something in the car. And we were flying. I swear he had to be doing about 100. And my son was in the car. Eventually, we did crash after about 20 minutes. The car did crash. He got out. He ran. He was calling me. I was still in shock. My son was in the back seat. And I saw Detroit police coming with their guns pulled. And I was not going to get out, and I was not going to run. And when they came to the car with their guns pulled, I knew I was going to jail. But I didn't know who was going to take care of my son. Yep. So the police officers were yelling, get out the car, get out the car. And I was trying to undo my seatbelt, but I couldn't. And they were snatching me out. And a female officer was screaming, there's a baby in the back. There's a baby in the back.